Okay, let's try this again and see if we're actually getting anything recorded. So, I'm going to do a little demo of our Hotter Than Hell 100 The Ride app. And this app's been built for this demo purposes in Flutter Flow, which uses the Dart language, and Flutter, which allows Flutter Flow just allows you to sort of have a um, image of your app here on a device, and then you're able to design parts of the page using widgets, which allows you to sort of drag and drop components onto this page as you want to set up your page as you want it, with images, text fields, submit buttons, etc., just text. So I've built several pages with this so far. You can see the code behind the pages here by viewing the code. And you can see this for our landing page, which is this page here. You can see the various components are set up as what are called widgets. Each page essentially becomes a class, which is inherited from a parent class called stateful widget. And then the software creates a inheritance of that to create a class called a landing page widget, whatever you've named your page. You can see that is right up here. And then you have all the code for the various components within that page, all of the various widgets. So, for example, you have a widget here, which is the background container. And you can set all of the different items here. Rather than setting them here within the code, you can set them here when you look at your page and you look at any particular component. You have all of these properties of the component that you can set over here, which in turn are being set within the code as it's being created. So, for example, here we have the widget to create the app header up here, and the image, for example, is this little tiny sun oval, and then we'll have the text, welcome to the Hotter Than Hell 100, which is here, which is this little text box here, and if you click on any particular item, it takes you to that exact part of the code, which is kind of nice. So it's called a low code framework for building your apps. There is code that would like to implement here that hasn't been able to be implemented. You can add custom code, but I haven't quite figured out exactly how that is done. From within here, you can preview your various pages. You can view all the pages that have been created here in this page list. I have quite a few of them so far. It allows you to have assets. So you have media assets that you can load in for, say, for example, our maps and for the various icons that are on the page. And you can preview how this is going to look. And in the preview mode, some of the functionality is there, but not a lot. You can, for example, enter text into the fields. You can click your submit button, but it won't actually do anything, but you can navigate to additional pages. So if we navigate to the next page here, we've got it set up for some of the various things, the events and info that you would want, like the maps, for example, the trade show vendor list, schedules of events, and things like that. Each page we've named with what hopefully is a pretty clear name. If you need to register, you're taken to a registration page where you have the choices of available events. And if you click one of these, it takes you to the field form where you would fill in. Now, some of these things will be automatically populated. We'll see that in a minute when we run the test, which allows actual functionality to be demonstrated, but the event name, the person's first name, last name, those things are going to come from the original page. For example, where you've input your name and email here, those will become variables that are going to be brought forward into this registration fields. And then when you were here and you say click this endurance ride, that's going to auto-populate. If you were to click gravel rides, that would auto-populate in the event name. So you can see sometimes when you click something, it shows up not functionality. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. Go to what is the test page. That takes a couple of minutes to build. So I'm going to click this app here. This is a good IDE, a fairly good IDE. It can show you what your app is going to look like in a phone type device, a tablet type format, or even a desktop type format. So you're able to build your app in the format that you would like. If we're trying to build a mobile app with this particular part. If you want to, I showed you already, you can develop the code. Some of these features I wanted to point out, if you actually want to use and connect to GitHub for version control or to actually do your editing in VS Code. This little star means that's behind a paid firewall. You actually have to have a subscription, which we have not had. We have not done. So if we do click this lightning bolt here, it will take us to building a test view, a testing session, which will take a few minutes. So I'm going to pause the recording, and then I'll come back once this is built. All right, we are back, and this is it's coming into its page here. It'll create a debug panel, and then it'll show your app images here in this field in just a second. All right, so now it's popped up, and we start with our the first page of our app, and you can see here it's listing a lot of the variables that are being input with the app. It still has, well, was in the last time it was run. So if you enter in your name here, email, and then we navigate. Just to show you, if you now pull up the registration and were to register, so remember I'm going to register for the endurance rides. So you'll see when that form comes up, that field is auto-populated, auto-filled. My name, first and last, and email are brought in from the previous pages. And then as you add additional information, it's formatted appropriately. That all this formatting has to be set manually, and was set. Your city and zip code to be entered. Then age restriction for children or minors under 18 versus adults. There's a different waiver form that has to be assigned. So you're not even going to have to put in an age if you're under 18. If you're over 18, you say yes, and you can put in an age. And then enter the remaining information. When you press submit, it's going to take you to your waiver page, where we will have eventually here a signature form field to allow you to signature and submit this. And at that point, you've registered. And you can see we have some of the other forms, but they're not quite fully implemented yet. For info and events, you have a clean slate of things here you can look for. You can go get schedules. We'll have times for these pop up, and then the calendar app would be able to be opened and a schedule will be created. We'll have a list of the vendors here. Haven't finished implementing that information yet. maps to things like how to park, where to park, how to get to the routes. And then the overall route maps here, since there's a number of different routes, we have those listed here. So if you want to ride the mountain bikes, here's your mountain bike. That is an image. It is a zoomable, pannable image. So I'm touching the screen with my fingers. So you will function by your standard pinch and zoom, pinch to zoom. Oops. If you have a touch screen, which this computer laptop is a touch screen, and then you can see where the mountain bike route goes. You can get pretty good detail. I'm going to see if I can make this X be black so it'll show up better. If you go to one of the other maps, you'll see the same sort of feature. If you go to the 10K, you could click it. I clicked it with a mouse, but you can double tap it with your finger, and there you can zoom in on it. So these are, if you have a touchscreen computer, these are all selectable by touching the screen. So that is our app as far as we have it. If you are a volunteer, you'll have a login, a username, and a password. And log in. That hasn't yet been implemented, but that will be there. Each page has hopefully a very identifying name to the top of it, our main menu, and info and events, and so on and so forth. So that is our app as far as we have it right now in this session. And come back to what we have developed. We may have to move this code into just plain Flutter so that we can actually implement some of the behind the scenes code that we wanted. For example, we really wanted this to just be one field of entry and then to split the string into two parts, but that requires a custom function in Flutter Flow, which is, so far, I haven't been able to figure out how to implement. So hopefully we'll be able to do those kinds of things by going into the back end. Thanks for watching our video.